I'm Rick, and I want to talk about modifying a spear gun. Spear guns are trade-offs when it comes to design. Change something, and what you gain on the slides, you'll most likely lose on the seesaws. So you have to be careful when you do some modifications. Otherwise, you might ruin what was a perfectly good spear gun. I don't usually modify spear guns. I find it easier and cleaner to build a new one to the new design specifications. But this once, I thought I might modify an oldie and a goodie. Back in 2006, I built what was essentially a European pipe gun, but it was made out of wood. At the time, the goal was to make a spear gun that's suitable for taking pinky snapper in Melbourne's Port Phillip Bay. I wanted something that was very accurate, but highly manoeuvrable, suitable for chasing pinkies which duck and weave. The stock was minimalist, reducing water resistance, making it easy to shift it through the water. The spear was narrow, a quarter inch, moved very, very fast and very light and very easy to swing the gun. And it was deadly accurate. Spear gun rubbers were in the same plane as the spear, and there was an elevated handle. All the forces were aligned. These features meant that the gun was very, very accurate and shot very straight. This has been one of my more successful builds. It's taken hundreds of pinky snapper, quite a few flatheads, quite a few King George whiting, plus a few other sundry species. The narrow body is really easy to push through the water, and that means that I can spend more time in the kill zone. No doubt, this design has been fit for purpose. But I wanted to change that purpose. I've set myself the goal of going to the Mediterranean and shooting a 3 kilogram Dentex. They're a nice, powerful, sparrowed fish. Dentex and snapper are different species, but they're closely related. Some people might think this is a bit ambitious for someone of my skill level, but let an old man have his dreams. I needed a gun to take similar fish, but those that are larger and a bit stronger. Hopefully, the modifications will make it fit for the new purpose. The first modification is to put in a heavier spear. Replace the 1/4 inch spear with a 7mm spear. A heavier spear ought to have better range, it ought to penetrate fish flesh better, and it ought to be less likely to be bent by a stronger fish. Hopefully the modifications will make it a better fit for this new purpose. But it'll mean a heavier and harder to manoeuvre gun, it'll have more recoil, and the spear will fly slower. I'll put in a slightly shorter spear, which should make these problems a little less noticeable. The trade-off with a shorter spear is the front overhang will be shorter, and this will make it harder to aim along it, so the spear gun may lose a little bit of accuracy. Perhaps, maybe, whatever, I'll just have to live with it. The gun has a closed muzzle. There's not a lot of room on either side of that spear. I'm a bit worried that a 7mm spear could jam, so I'll get rid of the thick mono shooting line that I had and replace it with a thinner mono shooting line. It still should be more than strong enough. And a thinner shooting line may just let the spear fly a little bit faster. Perhaps. Maybe. Tying the gun to a float cord reduces manoeuvrability. When chasing pinky snapper, my preference has been for a drop rig, and I've got a feeling that when I'm chasing Dentex, my preference will be pretty much the same. I reckon it's best to let the fish have that first run before you try to reel it in. With pinkies, I often drop the gun, and then I come back and retrieve it later once the fish has gone through that first burst of adrenaline. But that won't work with a 3 kilogram Dentex. It'll swim off quite a distance and will hole up somewhere, and the Mediterranean can be quite deep. I decided to add a reel, as is common practice in the Mediterranean. I generally don't like reels. They can spool, that is, jam, and they make the gun bulky. I did a web search and found you can get some quite small reels nowadays. Cute as a button, I think. So, my dream is to hit my 3 kilogram Dentex, head for the surface, unspooling as I go, leaving the fish on the bottom with the spear. Then I use the reel line, follow it down to find out where the fish is holed up. The gun wasn't built to have a reel, so I had to modify it a bit there. I had to chop a slot in there to put a base in for the reel. Pre-existing set of rubbers pushed the 1/4 inch spear pretty darn well, but they may or may not be up to the task of pushing a 7mm spear. Only a single set of rubbers. If I find the current rubbers don't push it hard enough, I'll replace them with progressive rubbers a little bit shorter. Will it work? Only time will tell, but the theory's solid. All the mechanicals seem to fit together nice enough.